From KPI Elevators or Kone Philippines is Petteri Kirkland. Petteri is currently the Service Business Director of Kone Philippines for more than 2 years and was formerly the Finance Director for 3 years. He has almost 20 years of finance management experience with global exposure from Finland to China and Vietnam. Before joining Kone, Petteri started his career as business controller before joining Nokia and led the finance department at Microsoft. So to start with the first session, our first presenter, Mr. Petteri Kirkland, will be sharing on the topic Making Cities Better Places to Live.
So let's see how we can get the slides moving. We had some trial run and it was quite slow, but let's talk about how we can make cities better place to live. So if we start with Kone's mission, our mission is to improve the flow of urban life. So we do this together with our customers and partners to make the urbanization more sustainable. So in many ways, Kone and cities share a purpose. So I'm going to show some macro level statistics, and everybody knows how big the urbanization is. It's increasing all the time. Now we have about 55% of all people living in urban areas. So it's a big number, but even bigger number is if we think about 2045, which is only about 20 years from here. And we are expecting an increase by 50% of how many people will live in the cities. So it's going to increase from 4 billion people to 6 billion people. So this is a massive change of and how important part the cities will play in the sustainable challenge. So if I'm paraphrasing the CEO of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, saying that if we want to have any chance of making sustainable work, it needs to happen in the cities, and it needs to happen now. So the years between now and 2030 are very much critical for our success to make sustainable cities and make a sustainable world. So why is that? It is because if we look at greenhouse gas emissions, about 40% of all of those comes from the building and construction industry. So this is the place where we can make some kind of change. And why there is some kind of urgency is because so many buildings have already been built, and with this 2 billion more people going to live in cities, it is now when we can make the difference. But it is also to take care of the existing buildings. How do we repurpose those? How do we redefine them, and how do we modernize them in a sustainable way? And when we build new buildings, it is very important to think about the future proofing, because buildings have so long life cycle, so that they have adaptability, multi-purpose, and long life cycle. So then how has it changed, like how people use the buildings? We know how the pandemic was here, everything changed totally, what we expect from our normal life and how we are using the buildings. And how we see in Kone, for example, is that the homeowners and tenants are expecting much more convenience, better services and experiences. And the working has changed also. So nowadays it's a lot of people are working from home, and we don't see that going away. So it's about how do we design the offices so that they serve this kind of new normal, and also the homes where people are working from homes. And one other key is obviously to make sustainable cities is the efficient public transportation and how the buildings are connected. So then if we talk about how cities itself have transformed and keep on transforming, we in Kone think it's going to go more and more towards this kind of hybrid way. So smart and sustainable cities it's not easy to just make it, because most of the cities are already existing cities. Unless you build a new capital like Indonesia is planning to do, maybe you can start from scratch. But mostly one big transformation is these hybrid districts. So the old way of having cities where you have central business district, then you have residential suburbs, you have maybe shopping areas differently. We see that that's changing, and it's already very much changed. So the districts are more hybrid. In one district, you have a bit of everything. You have multiple central business districts, which should be connected. But the idea is that you have this 15-minute neighborhood. So wherever you live, you should find everything within 15 minutes, rather than you need to do long commuting. So that's about how the districts are getting more hybrid, but the buildings are also getting more hybrid. So also already in Metro Manila, we see a lot of multi-use buildings where we have retail in the bottom, maybe we have residential in the middle, maybe there's a hotel up there. So it's a mixed building already. And then there's even hybrid spaces. I was just recently 2 weeks ago in Singapore, and they are really in the forefront of how cities and buildings are changing. I was, for example, in a building called Capita Spring, which is office building, but then you have a park in the middle of the building on the 17th floor, and there's another park in the rooftop. And even if it's office building, these parks are public for anyone. So you can go to the office building, you take elevator, you have a public park on the 17th floor where you have open space, couple of restaurants, and then you have another park at top of the building. So this is how we see cities are already changing. So why sustainable? For me and for Kone, it's obvious it should be win-win for all the parties. The developers should get better prices, building owner better occupancy, tenants better productivity and efficiency, and for all of us living in the cities, it should improve the quality of life. So what can Kone help with this mission? So I already mentioned our mission, but if we talk about also our core strategy, it is to make smart and sustainable solutions that adapt to future needs. So we are very much committed to this sustainable change. So some areas where we are concentrating is the accessibility. There are some statistics which say that in the future there can be up to 15% with some people who have some kind of disability. So having people accessible to their normal needs in everyday life is very important. Health and safety is obvious now with the recent pandemic, and we can talk in a few slides what kind of options we have there. Environment, not just the eco-friendly carbon efficient solutions for the current buildings, but also for the life cycle, the full life cycle, from how we source materials all the way up to energy savings. And then ethics, compliance, diversity and inclusion are very much in the heart of our values. So sometimes often it's very difficult to measure sustainability. This is just some of the recognitions Kone has received. For example, on the top middle by EcoBodies, Kone has been chosen to be in top 1% of all companies when it comes to environment and sustainable procurement. And there are other similar recognitions which you can see here. So when we talk about the urban flow, which is in the core business for us, in Kone, we move over 1 billion people per day. So Kone being one of the biggest, if not the biggest elevator escalator company in the world, this is the number, how many people have some kind of connection with our vertical transport per day. So we would like to help cities to think, or buildings, how we should make buildings with less bottlenecks, less congestion, better cross flows, shorter travel time, effortless navigation. So we are already now helping our customers to make this vision come true with our people flow planning and consulting services. So in this slide, I only concentrate on the right side of the part, which is like when we talk about sustainability, it's not only that we build the new building sustainable, it is very much how we then maintain that building. How do we maintain the elevators? How do we make sure it is sustainable during usage? And then when we need to do modernization and repurposing of buildings, how do we ensure the whole life cycle costs to be sustainable? So this will be my last slide. So how can Kone help you already today? So first of all of our new generation elevators are DX, which means digital experience class. So these are fully connectable and innovative units where we can connect them to our cloud. We have our newest services like 24/7 connected services. We can have applications where the units talk with different kind of third-party applications. Just as an example, this second picture here about Blind Square, which is an application for the visually impaired people, how they use when they navigate the city. If they use this application, we can connect it to our elevator also. So when they are doing, they can use that application to order the elevator, and they can use the elevator without any external help needed. Then health and well-being is very important. We already mentioned it earlier. So we have air purifiers, we have handrail sanitizers, we have antimicrobial interiors, we have all kinds of touchless solutions. You can order your elevator with your phone, or you have buttons which are touchless. And then eco-efficiency. So if you modernize your older units, you can potentially save up to 70% energy savings with the newer generation of regenerative drives, and also ensuring that the new spare parts and all of those are sourced sustainable. So I think I've run out of my time. So that's my last slide, and I would like to thank Philippine Green Building Council for the opportunity to talk about how making the cities better places to live.